After weeks of quarrels, qualms, and then 11th-hour horse trading, Republicans revealed the details of their huge national tax rewrite late Friday, along with announcements of support that all but guarantee approval to give President Donald Trump the Christmas legislative triumph he's been aching for. The legislation would slash tax rates for big business and lower levies on the richest Americans in a massive $1.5 trillion bill that the GOP plans to muscle through Congress next week before its year-end break. Benefits for most other taxpayers would be smaller. This is happening. Tax reform under Republican control of Washington is happening, House Speaker Paul Ryan of Wisconsin told rank-and-file members in a conference call. Most critics out there didn't think it could happen. And now we're on the doorstep of something truly historic. According to the 1,097-page bill released late Friday, today's 35% rate on corporations would fall to 21%, the crown jewel of the measure for many Republicans. Trump and GOP leaders had set 20% as their goal, but added a point to free money for other tax cuts that won over wavering lawmakers in final talks. The legislation represents the first major legislative achievement for the GOP after nearly a full year in control of Congress and the White House. It's the widest-ranging reshaping of the tax code in 3 decades and is expected to add to the nation's $20 trillion debt. The tax cuts are projected to add $1.46 trillion over a decade. The bill would repeal an important part of President Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act, the requirement that all Americans have health insurance or face a penalty, as the GOP looks to unravel a law it failed to repeal and replace this past summer. Only on Friday did Republicans cement the needed support for the overhaul, securing endorsements from wavering senators. Marco Rubio of Florida relented in his high-profile opposition after negotiators expanded the tax credit that parents can claim for their children. He said he would vote for the measure next week. Rubio had been holding out for a bigger child credit for low-income families. After he got it, he tweeted that the change was a solid step toward broader reforms which are both pro-growth and pro-worker. Sen. Bob Corker of Tennessee, the only Republican to vote against the Senate version earlier this month, made the surprise announcement that he would back the legislation. Corker, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, has repeatedly warned that the nation's growing debt is the most serious threat to national security. I realize this is a bet on our country's enterprising spirit, and that is a bet I am willing to make, Corker said. The White House said Trump looks forward to fulfilling the promise he made to the American people to give them a tax cut by the end of the year. Sen. Marco Rubio, R-Flaw, takes his seat for a hearing on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. on November 14, 2017. Sen. Marco Rubio, R-Flaw, takes his seat for a hearing on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. on November